Hey, everybody, welcome to the F Yeah Bro podcast. My name is Todd Kelly, the writer creator of Project Titans and Atlas Rising. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Big thank you to last week's guest, Mr. Marvin McDonald. Apologize for any technical difficulties. Thank you for sticking around for the cliffhanger leading us into week two. I'm going to let my co-hosts introduce themselves. Take it away.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Nick. I am assist Todd with Project Titans on the website, social media, stuff like that, and assist him at the conventions.
What's up? My name is Angel. I'm just a groupie, man. I'm a tag along, most uneducated comic person that's ever going to be on this podcast. Here for another week. Excited to be here.
Thanks, buddy. All right. So with us today is our special guest, Mr. Forrest Davis, and I'm going to let him introduce himself as well.
How's it going, Forrest Davis? Good friends of Todd, and getting to know these guys every time they come into town, and get to spend some time with these guys at the conventions, and talk shop and show off the costumes and all that good stuff. So good to see you guys.
Hey, man, we're happy to have you. So Forrest, I'm going to get into how we met in a second, but one of the things I want to tell you is, so the first show we ever did, so it was about 2 or 3 years ago at this point. So for anyone who doesn't know, this banner behind me, this is Forrest. Forrest did this artwork. This is 100% him. And when Forrest and I met, we met at a dog park. So I had just moved to Jacksonville, and we lived in the same apartment complex. And at the time, I had 2 pups, and I was out there letting them run around. And Forrest was out there, and he had a pup as well. And we used to meet up and just let them kind of go do their thing. And we started talking shop and, kind of what I wanted to do. And before it became a comic book, it was a short story because I had no idea how to turn it into a comic book. And Forrest actually did the cover for the short story. And then once I was able to turn it into a comic book, Forrest also did the first piece of artwork. And then that piece of artwork, I will tell you this, man, when we did our first show, every single person that came and stopped, the only reason they stopped, it was nothing to do with me and had nothing to do with Nick. It definitely wasn't our tablecloth because we didn't have one. But it was this piece of art. Everybody stopped at this and we're just like, wow, that is so cool. Who did that? What's going on? And to the point where I think I like sold you more than I ended up selling the comic that first day, where I was just constantly like, yeah, man, it's my buddy Forrest. So yeah, again, huge thank you. I've taken this banner to every single show. I probably will continue to take it to every single show. And it's still the piece of art that, and again, we did Free Comic Book Day a few weeks ago, and we had people that were coming up, and Nick's not his head because he remembers, like, and they just wanted this book. That was it. They're like, yeah, I don't really care. I just want that art. And they were just like, I just want that cover. Like, I don't actually care about the book. And we'd sell it to them. We actually had a poster that had that in it anyway, but if you're going to come up and buy the book, I'm going to sell you the book just on the chance you're going to read it. So, but again, always a big thank you, man, because this has just been absolutely crucial. And I can't tell you again how confident it helps us go into these shows, knowing that, we've got a really BA banner behind us. And, obviously that was all you. So big thank you, sir.
Well, I mean, yeah, it does help that it's what, 8 foot tall, or I mean, how is that? Like, that thing takes up some room, so you're definitely going to see that for sure. But yeah, man, it's once you just start talking to Todd and he just takes off, man. It's just easy to be just mellow around you and just become good friends. And of course, it helps to have our pups just wrestle back and forth. So having a meet up, and yeah, we just started talking, and once you get to know Todd, and he's like, yeah, I got this idea, and then I'm working on this comic, and this is the story, and I'm like, yeah, go on, tell me more. Like, it was, and the more he gets into detail, and I'm just like, oh wow, man, you're actually doing this. This is great. And we would let me know what you think, and I'm just going to shoot you these few pages, and just kind of yeah, and just the excitement about it, and I think it was more so your just enthusiasm and drive to see this thing through, like as much passion as you shared, it just made me interested. And then you approached me and it's like, hey, I'm looking for somebody to do the art. Or I'm like, I don't do comics, man. Like, I do portrait art. I do the serious stuff. And not to say the comics isn't serious, but you know, when you're doing painting and portrait work, and you know, it's different than drawing, you know, with pen and pencil and doing the line work and things like that. It's a whole nother talent. You know, and I just mess around with it. And you know, he said, well, at least do the cover. I'm like, all right, well, I'll sketch something out. So he's describing this cover to me, and I'm like, all right, I think I have an idea, and just a few sketches of what the character might look like. And he's like, yep, man, that's it. And then the sketch happened, and yeah, next thing I know, it's on a comic book, and it's blown up, big giant poster size, and it's humbling. You know, I'm very modest when it comes to my art, and just to hear people talk about it, it freaks me out. But it also is like, oh man, this is really cool. Like, this is, you know, something I share with my friends and my family. Like, that's my art. You know, I got my art published on a comic book, and you know, I look forward to doing some more.
Yeah, man. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because so we've you know, obviously done a couple shows in Jacksonville, and so there was one, you were living up in Wisconsin, I think, at the time, and we were in Jacksonville, and people from the 501st were coming around to the tables, and at some point I was just talking with them, because you can't walk by my table without getting talked to. It's gonna happen, and so I was just chatting them up, and I you know, I asked them, I was like, hey, do you guys know Forrest Davis? And then, you know, everybody was just like, again, you talked about my enthusiasm. Like, they were just like, oh, yeah, we love Forrest. Forrest is amazing. Like, that's awesome. I'm like, yo, he did this. Like, this is him. And I remember taking a picture with all of them, literally just holding up your art. And, you know, they're like, yeah, we're going to send this to him. So I got to ask, did they send you that?
Was that?
Did they actually send you the picture we took, like, with your art? Or did you ever, like, get it?
I got it from a couple of the guys.
Okay, good. Thought they were just trolling me at some point. I'm just like, oh, did they even?
I think you sent it to me too. Like, I think you know some of these guys. I'm like, yep, yeah. I definitely missed home, man. That's for sure.
Well, not to brag, but both Nick and I are the original creators of the artwork behind us. So just throwing that out there. Might be hard to believe, but it's true. It's true. My first question, though, is on a scale of 1 to crazy, how crazy did you think Todd's dogs were when you first met them at the dog park? That's my first question.
It's hard to really gauge crazy when you have one just like Sheldon. You know, before Sheldon, you know, Sheldon and Dozer were Todd's pups, and my boy Casey. You know, Casey, he was very eager to play. He just didn't really understand that, like, when his version of play is you know, getting power slammed and just wrestling to the ground, and you know, and Sheldon rose to the challenge, and you know, watching him and Casey go back and forth, and Dozer, that giant, you know, that gentle, he just sit there and, like, you know, hey, Forrest, just keep petting me, and I'm right here. I don't have to do anything. And yeah, watching Sheldon and my boy go at it for, you know, a good 30-40 minutes, stop and take a break, and then 5 seconds later they're right back at it. Like, it was yeah, so crazy. I'd have to say definitely on a scale of 1 to crazy. Definitely crazy, but a good kind of crazy. You know, you know, not like keying your car crazy, or, you know, taking a butcher knife to a wedding dress crazy.
Yeah, I've got a crazy one too, so I can definitely relate.
Yeah, I like the party crazy. What was that?
There you go. Respect.
Oh, goodness.
So, Forrest, what you do? Obviously, you're here. You do cosplay most of the time. So, what got you into cosplay?
Cosplay. It's I wouldn't say cosplay per se, but you know, I'm a Halloween baby. My birthday is on the 28th of October, so I mean, since birth, I think my parents have been dressing me up, and like, I don't have just any kind of, you know, birthday party. You know, growing up, it was always a Halloween party. All the kids in the neighborhood dressed up. My mom was probably the catalyst for the future Boba Fett and Mandalorian that I ultimately became. You know, she would, you know, sew up an Ewok costume from shag carpet. And if you can imagine walking around the neighborhood in Florida In a costume that mom made out of shag carpet, I think I'd make 6 houses down before I'm like, you know what, I think I got enough candy before getting ready to pass out. But I think that's kind of where it was. I loved, having the opportunity to, be somebody that wasn't me, or be my hero, or, when you dress up in costume, it's, everybody's got their reasons. Me, I like dressing up as my heroes and just looking cool. And that was an easy intro into cosplay, because it's like, I've been doing it since I was a baby. So yeah, I always enjoyed dressing up. So I always had a passion for it ever since I was a little kid. So when the opportunity came up to build a costume and to make it legit and actually be a part of something that's not just once a year, I jumped all over that.
So now, again, for those who don't know, Forrest is part of the 501st. So will you kind of give us a rundown of a little bit about the 501st and what they do?
Yeah, 501st Legion is a worldwide organization. It's a costuming group. Some people just call it a charity group. It's a little bit of both. Basically, our costumes with the 501st Legion. If you don't know what the 501st Legion is, it's Darth Vader's personal battalion, his guard, so to speak. And Albin Johnson, back in 1997, went to the premiere of Star Wars and built his own stormtrooper costume, and showed up one day, and everybody absolutely lost their minds. And a few other people caught on to it. They started building their own costumes. So back in 97, that's kind of when it started, and it became a phenomenon where we're the villains. Our motto is bad guys doing good, and our costumes are the bad ones. The Darth Vaders, the stormtroopers, bounty hunters, all the denizens of the, of that wretched hive of scum and villainy. Those are our people. And everybody likes the bad guys. They're fun. They have they have a story to tell. And that's kind of where it all branched from. But yeah, we strive for, movie accuracy. Our costumes are meant to look like we just walked off the screen. So with that being said, those costumes, take a lot of scrutiny, a lot of dedication, and we go through the ringer when we go to submit our costumes for approval. Everything has to be perfect, and it has to fit you. And it's not just a one size fits all. I mean, we have guys that are, pushing 300-400 pounds, and hey, as long as that stormtrooper costume fits you and it looks right, welcome to the party. But we basically go to events. If you want to learn more, 501st.com for more information. But yeah, whether it's a charity organization, 5K, a comic book convention, birthday party, weddings, we kind of do a little bit of everything. But every time that we put our costume on, donations are sent to St. Jude's, Wilson's Children's Hospital, whatever, various Children's Miracle Network, things like that. So now when I put my costume on, it's not just for Halloween, but it's for great causes. We go out to every place all over the world and put smiles on everyone's faces, and it's probably the most fun I've had in a very long time. And that's actually how I met my wife, is through this group. So a lot to be thankful for. So,
well, I will throw to that real quick. Hang on, let me walk over you.
All right.
Congrats, because you just got married 2 weeks ago, right? So congrats very much.
Congrats.
That's again absolutely awesome. So Ashley was going to be joining us on the podcast, but she had what I'm going to call a real life emergency because of her job. So we will have Ashley on at another time. But again, it's absolutely cool, very cool story. And again, congrats, man. Just cannot tell you how happy we are for you.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I was just gonna say real quick, like you just won me over right then and there. Like going into this, all I know about cosplay is I've been to New York Comic Con. We took Todd once for his honeymoon, and I'm like, what are these dudes dressing up?
You were on my honeymoon?
Not your honeymoon.
You were there?
What's
That's
it called?
awkward.
Before
Bachelor
This is my
party.
bachelor's party?
Bachelor
Yeah.
you were,
that
hey,
was-
you weren't supposed to know about the honeymoon and what you guys did. Not legal in all 50 states, but nevertheless, but no, seriously, like I didn't know anything about it outside of we just dress up and whatever. But to be honest, I was like, that's kind of weird. But like the way you just sold, I mean, just being honest, but the way you just sold it to me, like it just blew my mind. I never even thought about it. Like my son, the room I'm sitting in right now, is all obsessed with comics, like Marvel, Spider-Man. If he sees someone out, like that totally makes his day. We've gone to Disney World and see the Star Wars characters, and it brightens his life. So I never even thought about the whole charity angle, and then donating to St. Jude's. I mean, it doesn't get any purer than that. So like that is fantastic. Like literally, I can't just express that enough how awesome that is.
Yeah, it's an incredible experience, and the group is wonderful. And it's such a when I say it's a tight knit group is there's people that I know from New Zealand that I've met from Germany, Italy,
Wow.
Japan, Singapore, South America. I mean, everybody kind of knows everybody, and we're kind of like a giant family. But I found out about these guys. I was visiting, a hospital and just saw Darth Vader and a bunch of stormtroopers in the lobby of, UF Shane's down in Gainesville. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what are these guys? Why is my boy here? Why is Vader here?
Yeah.
And it freaks you out, and you're like, oh yeah. And that it was the first time, and it was probably about 10 years ago when I first found out about it. And the thing about these costumes, some of them can be extremely expensive. So it's not like you just like, yeah, I'm just going to go out to Party City and pick up a stormtrooper costume. Like it takes a lot of work, and it does cost some money and some time to get it to look right. But the opportunity came up. I built a stormtrooper, and that was it. And I thought, hey, why not build my favorite costume, my favorite character in all of Star Wars history, and that's Boba Fett. Why not just be the coolest bounty hunter in the galaxy? And just he's had very little screen time, but he's had such an impact, and he's just a badass on camera. And that was my favorite. As a little kid, that was my favorite character, and I'm like, now I get to be him. So I built a Empire Strikes Back version of Boba Fett. He's got probably close to 10 versions of Boba Fett now, and that was pretty much it. I thought I was done, and then of course the Mandalorian came out, and then you watch him and you see Baby Yoda and everybody's screaming and raving, and then you see him walk out and just all that chrome, and he just looks incredible. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not done yet, and you never really. Every time something happens, like my wife, and she'll tell you, we'll watch Kenobi this coming up week, and I'm guarantee she's gonna be like, oh, I've got to make that costume. Oh, that's a new character. I've got to do that. Like it's just you just kind of keep going. And actually, out in the garage are these boots that I'm making for my new Wookiee costume. So that'll be a couple months down the road, but that'll be an adventure. But yeah, not everybody knows about it, but again, you go on to request an appearance and you say, hey, my kid's turning 6. It would be cool to have a couple stormtroopers at the party. And, if we can get enough people, we'll show up. But yeah, we're a nonprofit. I don't get paid to do this. And I don't think I would want to get paid to do this. It kind of takes away from the magic, and it takes away from the, this being such a special thing that we do. I just don't think I could do it. I refuse. So many people would be like, yeah, I don't get paid for this, but I'll gladly show up at your wedding and I'll walk your wife down I'll walk your bride down the aisle, which I've done,
Wow.
in costume as Boba Fett. And, just things like that. It's a trip, man. And, showing up to these people, sometimes we get the weirdest looks ever. But a lot of times people scream and they go, yeah, Vader, Chewie, Mando. We love it. We all love it. Everybody has their reasons for doing it. Like I said, I've always liked dressing up. I get to be these cool characters and just look cool. But to bring such joy to everybody's lives, it's a reward in its own. So I'm very privileged and grateful to have that opportunity. And anybody can join. There's a costume for everyone, I promise you. So Angel, if you're considering it, if you're on the fence, we'll walk you through it, man. We'll get you suited up.
There you go. My son is more likely, but I do have to ask. You just mentioned wedding. We just found out you're married 2 weeks ago, so everyone wants to know: were you guys in costume? That's the dying question here.
No, not in
Okay.
costume. The only suit I wore was a 3-piece suit.
Oh, fancy.
It's funny you mentioned it because everybody was kind of like, oh, are you going to dress up? And it was a question that we get asked quite a lot when we announce the engagement. And we'll incorporate little elements of Star Wars, but like we get to live it anytime that we want to. I'm like, let's have something a little bit more elegant, a little bit more personal, and we don't always like to live up to everybody's expectations. We just wanted to do our own thing. So we just suited up. I did have a Sideshow Collectibles, Grogu, Baby Yoda. This is a very expensive statue that I cut the head off and the arms off, and I made his arms posable. And by doing so, I get to dress him up. And we've done family photo shoots since we don't have children of our own. But I put him in a tux. I put him in a tuxedo. He was part of the wedding. I even made a suit for this little guy. This is our Kevin. We named him Kevin because he didn't have a name yet. It was Kevin the Baby Yoda. He's got an Instagram account, which is Kevin the Baby Yoda.
Follow.
Yeah, my wife, she crocheted him in a couple of hours, and we take him everywhere. And he was at the wedding. I created a little suit for him, so he matched all my groomsmen. My wife's bouquet, she had a lightsaber hilt as the handle for her bouquet. So little elements, but no, nobody dressed up. I wanted everybody to show up and just nice clothes and things like that. There's times, and we do it all the time. I was like, nah, let's just change it up a little bit. So that's the direction we went.
What was more comfortable, the 3-piece suit or your Mando costume?
Oh, it's always going to be everything but the Mandalorian costume. I tell everybody I love it and I hate it at the same time. I love it because, again, it just visually, it just looks incredible. The character itself, the development over the last couple of seasons is just a phenomenal character. And again, from the artist standpoint, to just see this all chrome, head to toe, just badass guy going around, just out of nowhere. Like, yep, that's gonna be me. And everybody loves the Mandalorian. When I suit up in my costume, I get asked, "Where's Baby Yoda?" If I don't have him with me, and I usually carry him in a little pouch or whatever. Where's Baby Yoda? I'm like, oh, he's home or he's off world. He's training to be a Jedi. One of those things. I try to sort of stay in character, but it's hard to do. But yeah, Mando is unbearable. We just finished up MegaCon. And we have shifts that we do. Some costumes are, I could be a stormtrooper for 7-8 hours and barely break a sweat. But in the Mandalorian, there's flight suits, and there's vests, and there's hard armor, and my cape is made of wool, and just it's extremely hot. When I get done, I have a couple people try to peel off the costume. Just it's brutal. So it's very uncomfortable to wear. but when I tell you it's worth it, just to see every single person just light up. And again, today I took this little guy out. This little crocheted Baby Yoda, and me in my full Mandalorian gear. People went nuts, you know, and I would offer, hey, would you like to take a picture with the child? And oh yes, and you know, everybody was lighting up, and again, you know, we have, you know, donation boxes, and you know, our people that, you know, and we were just filling it up and collecting all this money for these charity groups. But yeah, any time that I could just not wear the Mandalorian. I don't just put it on for fun. I only put it on when I absolutely have to. If there's an event, it takes about an hour to suit up,
Wow.
and even longer. Because, like I said, you know, you put on a t-shirt, but when you sweat through the t-shirt and you try to take it off, you know, it's like trying to get dressed when you're getting out of the shower and you're still wet.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad, but yeah, I'm good with a 3-piece any day.
Oh man.
So I know you've got a couple you can show us, right? A couple pieces.
Yeah,
What can you show us? Because I've seen your stuff, and again, obviously, you know, the first time I got to see you actually, like troop, was in St. Augustine. I think at Ancient City was actually one of the first time I got to meet Ashley. And I got to see you, and it's funny because you keep talking about how like the kids lose their mind when they see you, but I lost my mind when I saw you because I hadn't seen you, I think, at that point in about like maybe 2 years since before you moved up. And so I remember losing my mind, and then I remember just being so like just stoked. And I think you were rocking Mando, and then Ashley was rocking a pink Stormtrooper, I think. And I mean, you guys were just killing it. And you know, it was funny because while you guys were at the table, it was obviously the biggest crowds we ever had, were just because you guys were there. And it was so funny because we were just snapping pictures and, you know, like completely lost track of the fact that, like, yeah, we're actually there to sell comics and stuff like that. But I mean, like, we were just having fun hanging out. So, you know, again, I've seen it, you know, and I know you post a lot of your stuff on Instagram. But, you know, what do you have that you can kind of show here and you know, that we can kind of talk through?
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of my friends that are in the Legion, a lot of my people ask me, you know, hey, you know, of the costumes you have, which one do you like the most? And, you know, I started out as a stormtrooper, and then I converted it. I painted it and weathered it to look like a sand trooper. And then ultimately I made my Boba Fett, and then I made my Mandalorian. And it's so hard because Boba Fett is iconic. You know, he's got 40 years of just, you know, just being such an amazing mystery character. Just his swagger alone is just, you know, a few minutes of the greatest franchise in history. You know, but he's legendary. And so yeah, I mean, just classic Boba Fett, absolutely 100%. But yeah, the Mandalorian, you know, it's all the rage. It's kind of like Boba Fett, but it's not. You know, and it's just it's a very different character. So it's a really tough call. But yeah, this is my Mandalorian, my helmet, my bucket. It's what we call him. But as you can see, yeah, this is painted by me. This was terrifying, to be honest. Because even as an artist, you know, I've dabbled in airbrush, and I've, you know, experimented with things, but you know, I've never painted chrome. So there's a very specific process to painting chrome. And the paint that I used here, this is called Alumoluster. This was the actual chrome that was used on the movie, or the screen used costume. All the chrome, all the Beskar is painted with this, and it cost me $140 for 4 ounces of
So
this.
it's cheap.
Yeah, so it's about as expensive as Beskar. Cool.
I can't tell you how many people I had to kill to just get this chrome paint, but it was terrifying because, you know, you airbrush, you know, you just airbrush and there's a process, but you know, when there's clear coats involved and you can't have runs because you spray chrome over clear coat, if you got to run, that chrome's going to let you know that you've made mistakes. And luckily, it came out pretty decent. I have no complaints with this, but when I tell you the first time I'm painting this chrome and I'm like, hyperventilating, I got my respirator on and I'm just like, I'm shaking. I'm like, because if I get this wrong, I'm going to have to redo this whole thing again. So it was a very nerve-wracking process. But I think it came out great. A lot went into the Mando costume. But then as far as painting goes, from an artist standpoint, Boba Fett kind of takes the cake because there's so many different layers. There's colors. If you really, really analyze and nitpick, there's, you look at his helmet and you see green, and there's actually like probably 7 or 8 shades of green just on the top of the dome alone. There's little grays and silvers and things that you don't pick up unless you're in a group like mine that have analyzed every square inch of this costume. And there's patterns online. There's all kinds of processes to it. But